Hello, Chiori-chan here again with another video on how to use Chiori-chan's web server. In my last video, I did a basic installation demonstration, which was very basic. I showed quickly how you can just set it up, where to get the binaries, and where you just drop your plugins. In this video, I'm going to go over the utilization of the Groovy that's built into the server, as well as a little more setup on how to extend the languages. I did just start working on the server in a way to allow additional languages. In this case, I just recently started working on implementing Lua. It is obviously in the very early stages of the plugin development, so the only thing it really does is it implements the basic of Lua. Of course, I'm just making this video for a proof of concept. So, to go ahead and get started on this video, you'll notice that I already have my server booted up and loaded. And right here is the root of the web root for the default local host. Web roots are actually very easy to set up. I'm going to go over those in another video. The server features the ability to host multiple domains, also known as virtual hosts, but again, we'll go over that in another video. But for right now, we're going to work with localhost, which is right here in the default. So you'll notice that the first page that's actually shipped with the server is index.jsp. For those of you out there who are familiar with JSP, it's actually very similar in the fact that it embeds Groovy code right in your HTML. JSP does a very similar thing, but of course GSP is not really an officially known format, but it's practically interchangeable. In most cases, I wouldn't doubt that you can just interchange JSP with GSP. Of course, API only being the only issue. So the first thing that you'll notice here, under the title of the page, as well as right here in the beginning, is these brackets and the percentages. What this is, this would be exactly the code right here that I'm going to demonstrate. Both get product, get version, and date are all built-in server API. Of course, I'm going to go either document or do a video on the API later in the future, but for now, this is actually just API. So, right here, so you'll see that there's the name, there's the version, as well as in the title, and down here. To show you, just as an example here of what the server actually sees, I'm going to go ahead and intentionally create, well, actually, you know what, that's not going to work because I do not have the templates plugin installed. I guess we'll have to actually come back to that later. So what we're going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and create a new file, and it's going to be test.groovy. We'll go ahead and open that up with the editor, and right here we'll just type in some basic code. Now if we go over here, type in test.groovy, you'll see that what I wrote for hello world pops up. To show you additional, we'll do date, which of course when you do an empty string it just prints out the default. See that? So again, we'll go over API in the future. Groovy, anybody who's going to be using my server, I'm hoping you're at least somewhat aware of Groovy. Now, if you're coming over from PHP, there is one of the efforts I did with the server was made sure that you weren't going to feel like you were totally lost, because a lot of the API is very similar to PHP. So you could practically boot the server and use the most basic of PHP API without issue. Anyways, that was just the proof right there that Groovy works with both .groovy and .gsp. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to go back to the root here, go under plugins, and we're going to drop in the Lua plugin. that I had brought up earlier. We're going to go ahead and go to the terminal for the server. We're going to stop it and restart, as I demonstrated in that earlier video. As well as I also demonstrated I had brought up the fact that the server has the ability that if you write plugins, you can actually include libraries right in the plugin's configuration file. As you can see here, when the server booted, it loaded the JN Lua file library right straight. Now, of course, this one, unfortunately, this one I had to actually bundle with the plugin. I couldn't actually use the Maven repository because JN Lua, I don't remember exactly the issue. They either don't have one. I think it was they didn't actually have one. And then on top of that, the plugin also has a native library. So as I was saying in my earlier video, the server has both the ability to either load libraries straight out of your plugin, download from a Maven repository, and overall in all, it can actually extract and load native libraries. Which in my opinion, is a very amazing feature. The fact that my server can do that without any complaints. It is obviously an earlier feature that's still not quite refined yet, but and also the plugin, just so you also know, I only have the Linux binary native library compiled in there so far, but of course as I develop more with the Lua, it will become more readily available, as well as Mac, Windows, etc. So anyways, as you can see, the library loaded up and it created the configuration folder, and of course native libraries are extracted to the plugin's configuration folder. Okay, so we'll go back to the web root and we'll go back to here, and as you can see, the server's still loading. So I'm going to create one last file and we're going to call it test.lua. Now that I created that, you'll see that test Lua just loads up a blank page. We'll go ahead and we're going to open that again in our editor, and we're going to type print hello world. Ta-da! Of course, as I said in the beginning of this video, I don't really have any Lua API finished as of yet. As well as for myself, I'm not a fluent Lua developer. I only know some basic syntax and stuff like that, but I'm mostly hoping to do this just to be able to expand the server and make it more readily available for any type of developer. Again, this would be my reason why I'm looking to hopefully get some people behind this project, is to test things like the Lua and use it and develop the API and refine it. I really believe that what I have come up with is gotta be worth something. Not to sound a little bit like a narcissist there. Anyways, point being, so that would conclude this video that still went long, but it's had a lot of good information on how to load the Lua plugin, as well as demonstrating the GSP, Groovy, and the Lua. So I will see everybody in the next video.